Good morning, Francie. How are you doing this morning? Hope you had a wonderful week. Purple, good morning. Lorraine, good morning. Nikki H, good morning. Welcome to this morning's stream. I hope we all had a wonderful week. I'm looking at the wrong camera. That one's not on. I got to look at that one. Jean, good morning from Colorado. Kelly P, good morning. Hope you are doing well. I am Purple. I am. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well as also. Good morning, everyone in the chat. I should probably text my sister today. I haven't texted her this week. She lives in Golden, Colorado as well. Harlan, there you go. Good morning, man. How you doing? Long time no see, Harlan. I hope you've been doing well. Thank you for joining us this morning. Scary Nona, good morning. 11 a.m. in Michigan. Yeah, you're 3 hours difference from where I am. It is 8:03 here. 8:03. So I'm in the Pacific Standard Time zone. Lorraine, wow, how is Scotland? All the way from Scotland. We got some fans out there all over the world. Last night, we were playing trivia, and one of the people who was in the stream is from Belarus, and was actually watching on Starlink, the Starlink system from Belarus. I didn't he didn't comment in the actual stream itself. He watched it all, and because you know it's kind of a difference of culture from Belarus to America, so he didn't feel like he could really participate, but he messaged me afterwards, and I'm like, hey, just go ahead and guess anyways. And we're just playing for fun. It is wet. My second daughter moved to Colorado on Monday. Snow-covered roads. Ooh. Well, if there's snow-covered roads, it's probably not going to be a good thing for my sister. She works for the DOT, Department of Transportation. So she's probably dealing with that every day. They got snow-covered roads in Colorado. Harlan, I'm doing great and been busy last couple of weeks. Packed up and moved from Roseville, Minnesota, to a new apartment in Mounds View, about 10 minutes north of where I am currently at. Well, that's cool. I haven't been to Roseville in quite some time. I used to have relatives that lived there in Roseville, but they have since relocated to Edina. I think it's the Denver area. That's pretty close to where my sister is. She's about 23 miles from Denver. Excuse me. Good morning, Gayla. Mike Stevens. Good morning. Okay, so we're going to go over Josh Duggars' appeal this morning. I had to request people had some questions they wanted me to answer about Josh Duggars. So we're gonna make this brief about his appeal, and then I'm going to talk about Anna Duggar and and has she visited him and and so on, and what has she actually done versus what people are talking about on the internet. A lot of it is not exactly true. Some people are guessing at it, and they love to just gossip about the entire case. Thank you. I love catching up to the chat when I can. To be honest, at this point in my life, I've still remain my first and only YouTuber whom I engage and participate in live chat. Well, I'm glad you could be here with us, Harlan. Everybody here is welcome. Doug. Good morning, everyone. All right, so on October 3rd, earlier this month, Josh Duggars attorneys filed a what's called the brief. Now, to tell you how the appeals process works in the federal system, this is kind of like the Cliff Notes version of how the appeal system works. First, the defense, Josh Duggars' attorney, must file what's called a brief. In that brief, they outline in there the reasons why they are appealing the sentencing and the whole thing, the case itself. They have to outline piece by piece what they're actually appealing. All right, and this is 64 pages, but I'm giving you guys a Cliff Notes version of it because we don't have the time, nor do I have the desire to go through all 64 pages this morning. In that appeal, the briefing of why they're appealing, there are several different things that they're actually appealing the decision on in the sentence on. First, that the district court violated Josh Duggars' constitutional rights to present a complete defense and precluded Duggar from calling and, if necessary, impeaching critical witnesses at trial. Now, impeaching the critical witnesses, what they're speaking of there, and it goes on in great length about certain people who testified about what information was found on the hard drive. Now, this is the hard drive of the main PC, not a laptop, not a thumb drive, but the main PC itself, the hard drive itself was partitioned. And this is the hard drive that Anna had installed the spy software where it would trigger an alert and send her a message if Josh Duggar went to one of the cheating sites, because we know he got caught cheating in the past. So if he was to look at pornography or to go to one of these sites, it would alert her on her cell phone, and she get that message, hey, Josh Duggar just accessed that. What Josh Duggar did was he went in and he partitioned the hard drive. So give you an idea of what this is, just an example. So let's say this cell phone is the hard drive. It's got a big round disc in it. It's got a needle that actually reads your actual data on the hard drive. What he had done was he had partitioned the hard drive into two separate sections. The left side does not know that the right side exists, and the right side doesn't know that the left side exists. So it basically acts like two different storage devices, but it's actually physically one. That's in a nutshell what a partitioned hard drive does. Anna's spyware was on one side of the partition and could not see the other side. So every time he logged on, he used only this side of the hard drive. Additionally, when he went to check out pornography, when he downloaded the pornography, when he bought the video, with cryptocurrency, to the video of the little girl named Daisy, that who was being abused. When he did all that, he used only one side of the hard drive, so it never communicated with the other side that he was actually doing that. But what they wanted to do was they wanted to impeach certain technical people who actually testified that this information was on the hard drive, and that their background and their experience in actually did they have the correct training, did they have the correct know-how, and did they follow procedure when they actually investigated that entire hard drive on the PC itself. So that's the first thing that they wanted. They're saying that his rights were violated by the court. That's number one. Number two is The district court erred in denying Josh Duggars' motion to suppress statements after a federal agent physically stopped him from contacting his attorney and subsequently interrogated him outside the presence of counsel. So, everyone in America, every U.S. citizen in America, and even those who are in America illegally, an illegal alien, still gets the same rights as an actual citizen. You have the right to, the Fifth Amendment of self-incrimination. Now, what they were basically saying here is when the FBI agent took Josh Duggars' cell phone from him and patted him down to make sure he had no weapons on him, that was a violation of his constitutional rights of self-incrimination because he wasn't able to call his attorney because they took his cell phone from him. That's a stretch, a very large stretch to try to make that connection. But that is the second grounds for why they are filing the appeal. That's in a boiled down. I'm really boiling things down to the smallest part here. All right, and then the third ground that they're actually filing the appeal on is the district court erred in permitting the government's expert to offer testimony on the EXIF. Now, I tried to put at the end of the video that I had released what the EXIF is, and that's an acronym for a program, a course, if you will, because the program is a large portion of that course, but it's a lot more than in depth than just sitting in front of a computer and learning a new software program. What that course is on forensic examination. There are variations of the EXIF, which I don't know what that acronym actually stands for. Certain states actually change the letters within it, so depending upon on the state level or the federal level. But it's a forensics program, and it shows and it teaches people how to examine something without leaving a trace of actually where they are within the hard drive, looking at it without leaving crumbs behind, basically, along with how to gather and copy the information without physically altering what is on the hard drive. So, in a nutshell, again, we're using my cell phone here as an example of the hard drive. Let's just say this portion of the hard drive has the pornography, the videos, the still photography, and he had a lot of it on there. But let's just say it's all on this part of the hard drive. They want to get that information off of the hard drive without actually physically altering this device. So through the different ports on the computer, they take this hard drive out of the actual tower itself, and they're connecting it directly to another computer. But they don't want to alter this, because if they alter this in any way, it gives Josh Duggar or the defendant room to say, look, that's been altered because of what they did. They want to copy this information without leaving a record of being there behind or moving any files or condensing it. So they basically take this one and they have another one and they clone the device from this to this. That way, this is completely intact and never looks like anybody has touched it. But that's what the EXIF program, it goes into that and a lot of other details that are really boring, and you have to be really into computers to want to know it. But that was the third ground of why they wanted to file the petition, because they said that the experts didn't have the proper training and their training wasn't up to date on that. Okay, it's used by the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Intelligence, Homeland Security. It's used by state and local and federal state level. This program and this training program at Quantico, Virginia, law enforcement all over the United States uses it. They're not going after that the EXIF program is flawed. They're saying that the people who examined the information and the devices did not have the proper training, and they weren't up to date on their certification. Don't know where they're getting that from. But again, it's another stretch. You basically what they're doing is they're flinging mud at the wall and hoping that, a bunch of it sticks and maybe there's somewhere in there where they can get some actual traction. But that's the third one. All right, the fourth one is Caleb Williams. And Josh Duggar's defense attorneys are wanted to present the evidence at trial that Caleb Williams, who is also a sex offender, had access to the computers and that he is the person who actually downloaded the still photos and the videos. Now, when the actual date of the information was downloaded to the computer, the date that they made the actual arrest, and the investigation into it all. Now, it didn't just come about at one day. You have to look at the whole thing of the investigation of how the FBI finally made the raid on the place. Originally, when they pinged the actual transactions and stuff, it came to a home on a street that didn't have the car dealership, the wholesale dealership listed at all. It only had a home which was down the street, and it's a little old lady who lives there by herself. And they're like, I don't think she's the one downloading this stuff. But then they found out there was actually, a wholesale business there. So they were actually able to watch these incoming views and these pings, and people go, someone accesses the computer going out and searching for this stuff. But that's beside the point. But they wanted to argue that Caleb Williams was there and he was the one who actually did it. When the date of the actual download and the transactions and everything happened, Caleb Williams has an alibi for being out of state at the time. So they're like, why? First off, he would not be, if they brought Caleb Williams in and they made him testify in this case, if they allowed it, he wouldn't have told the truth because he would have been incriminating himself in the crime. So and that ain't going to happen because he'd just say, they put him on the witness stand. He'd just say, I take the fifth. And what is the defense going to do? Well, come on, Caleb, tell us how you committed federal crimes. No. So, but they wanted to argue that point that Caleb Williams was. But that's in the gist. There's a lot more to it in the brief on, what he actually wanted to argue and what they're using for the appeal. But that's the gist of it. Cinnamon, hot, hot, hot. Good morning. Welcome to this morning's stream. We're talking about Josh Duggars' appeal. And next we're going to look at Anna Duggar and the visitation and communication with Josh Duggar. Truffles, Josh is not getting out of this. No, he's not. They may have some merit to number one of his rights being violated. Maybe it's a stretch of the actual law to get there, but he may have a little bit of traction there. I don't think the guy they arrested is the bribe guy. I gotta scroll up. Josh has grounds. Well, Mike, everybody has grounds for an appeal. But let's keep this in mind also, Mike. When it comes to appeals in the federal system, the federal government wins 97.3% of all appeals that are filed. Most of them are thrown out on technicalities and and like in this case, the judge is going to say, well, you don't qualify for number 4. Because everybody knows what that guy would have done if they put him on the witness stand. And then you can look at the basic outline of like, well, was everybody who actually investigated the information, were they up to date on their training? Yes. Okay. Well, cross that one out. You're not going to win on that ground. And what he's trying to do is he wants to get a new trial. So a new trial, that also could backfire on him. Because if they do go to trial again, the odds are that the federal government, instead of removing that second felony, they'll nail him with that second felony again. Because they're working right now behind the scenes to like, okay, if he does get the option of an appeal, We removed this one felony, count of the actual possession of child. No, just all right. So he was charged with possession and receiving of child pornography. But I think they removed the receiving, but they nailed him on the possession. Either way, it doesn't matter. But they both carry the same sentence. They're going to charge him with the second one because there is no what do they call it? Double jeopardy. There's no double jeopardy since they removed it before prosecution of that charge. So they can refile that charge against him if he does and he is eligible to get an appeal. So it could backfire on Josh completely. In filing the appeal, they could say, well, you know what? You got 10 years, 15 years. Here's your total sentence with parole, probation parole, extended release because they don't have parole. This is what your total sentence was. This is what your total fines are. Plead guilty to that, or we're gonna nail you with the second charge. We're gonna put that one back on here if it goes back to to court. Unless you think you really have a grounds to it, he might just end up pleading guilty to it, and take the sentence he already has. It's a poker hand. The government has a poker hand. You have a poker hand. Josh Duggar in this case, and he's trying to bluff that if he does, that he will do this, and the government's doing the same thing. They're looking at it like, come on, show me what what you have. I think I have the better hand. You think you have the better hand. Let's go ahead and play this out. Is what the government is telling him. If he gets to that point of an appeal. Amy M, good morning. Is this like a VPN, virtual private network? Well, in that point, Amy, Josh Duggar did have a VPN. He had set it up for himself. He had also set up several VPNs for family members of the church. His parents had their own virtual private network, but that's beside the point. What they're actually talking about is the actual physical devices that stored the information, the still photography, the videos, the cryptocurrency. All this stuff was stored on actual physical devices, and they went in and they looked at the actual physical devices where they found the information. Now the virtual private network, the routers and all that stuff, all that again, the VPN, the actual network itself showed the traffic coming and going from it in that aspect. I thought it was only perverts. Anna cannot hold Josh accountable because he is her master. Yeah, there's some really twisted things when it comes to the actual religion and how their church is set up. The man and the men are all at the top. If you look at it like a pyramid, the church is number one. Then it's the husband and the fathers are next. Then their brothers, and the males of the extended family. The women are down here. They all serve the men. They are there to serve, and they do not step out of line at all. And there's been a lot of accusations within the church itself, especially against the people who founded the church and those who are higher up in the church as elders of the church, and what they have done to women and to children. But that's a whole nother ball game. Next week, the Delphi cops will arrest Kim Kardashian for the Delphi crime. It's feeble. This guy's athletic. Oh, you guys talking about the Delphi? The man that they arrested, his name is Richard Allen. He's Caucasian male. He's married. He has children, and he currently, as of Friday, before he got arrested, because he was arrested and booked into the Carroll County Jail a little bit before midnight on Friday. Before then, he worked at CVS Drug as a clerk. So, but anyways, that back to Josh Duggar. So that's the appeal. Now I'm going to answer some questions and dispel some actual rumors around Anna, visiting Josh Duggar. Has Anna, the question, these were questions and answers that I was actually answering for people. Has Anna visited Josh Duggar at Seagoville Prison? Yes. She has visited him in person more than once. Um, does Josh Duggar call Anna every day? Just about every day he calls her, but not every day. It someone had reported that Josh Duggar is allowed to use up to 500 total minutes per month on the telephone, and I don't know where they got that number. It's a ridiculous number. First off, the phone usage. First, they have two separate accounts. There's an inmate account, and then there's a phone account. That phone account, Josh has to have money on that account to be able to use the phone, to be able to call out to people. He actually averages, and most of the inmates there average around 300 minutes per month, not 500 minutes a month. So I don't know where that came from. Excuse me. Next one. On more than one trip, Josh Duggar has visited all 7 of his children at the same time. Absolutely, positively, I can guarantee with my life, Josh Duggar has never had a visitation from Anna and all 7 of his kids. That will never happen at the prison because of security reasons. They only allow an adult with so many children. In Josh Duggar's case, it's 3 children and Anna. So Anna comes in, she can bring in 3 kids, and then she can come back for another visit the following day if she wants, if there's visitation, depending upon which day she comes, to actually have visitation. So there's always going to be 3 this time, then the next one she can mix it up, and then she can get all 7. But she cannot go and have all 7 kids in the waiting room of the visitation room there with her at one time. I mean, there's a lot of people there who are there for some serious crimes, and there is no individual contact. Other than when he comes in, he can give her a kiss on the cheek, no mouth to mouth kissing, no hugs, no physical embracement like that. He's not allowed to do that with the kids either. He sits on one side of the table. They all have to sit at the opposite side of the table. So yeah, but it's stated right on the Seagoville prison website. For visitation, it tells you exactly how many people can accompany an adult. The children cannot come by themselves. No minors are allowed by themselves. They must be accompanied by an adult, and it tells you how many minor children are allowed with each adult. So if Anna comes with another adult, sure, they could get 6 kids at once, but they certainly still can't get 7. So, and there is no way around that rule. It's there for the visitors' safety and for the safety of the guards and of the inmates. That in case something was to break out or happen in the actual visitation room, which is very seldom because people don't want to screw up visitation. Let's see the next one. What was the next one that people asked about? Was the EPCS, which is the Electronic Prison Communication System. Josh Duggar, because of his sentence, he is not allowed to have access to the the EPCS system. His attorneys need to file a request to have that removed while he's in actual prison, and they have not done it as of yet. So he cannot use the video communication system. Think of it this way: it's basically a tablet that is there, and he can use it in the visitation area and communicate, virtually with all 7 of his kids and Anna. But he's not allowed to use that as of right now until his attorneys file a motion to be able to use that system. Let's see. What's the next one? Is Josh Duggar receiving funds from Billy Bob And Michelle, yes. Um, but it only lists the Duggar family as one. The number one Duggar family, number two Duggar family, as those who are actually depositing money. It does not list all the people who may be sending it. So you would assume that number one is Michelle and Jim Bob, and number two is Anna. But they don't give you a breakdown. They know who the money's coming from. The prison does, but they don't list it on the actual sheet. And again, this information is requestable directly from the prison. You underneath the Freedom of Information Act, you can request it. You can immediately guarantee it as soon as you ask for it. They're going to respond back with, "Why do you need this? And who are you?" So just be prepared in case you want to file the request to actually see those records. Is Anna running a business? Is she self-employed? Uh, yes and no ish. She is not running a business per se, like outside of the home. She is helping set up business licensing and taxation for those businesses for family, friends, and so on. She's earning money that way. So, but she is, it is, it's work, but it's not, like a job where she's going to a diner or someplace, and waiting on tables. Let's see. Oh, has Anna decided to move to Texas in case if he loses the appeal? Will Anna move to Texas, or will she move with the children to Texas to be closer to Josh? That's I don't know. I don't have the answer for that, and I wasn't able to because I can't exactly call Anna up on the phone and ask her. So, but a lot of people are speculating online that she's, either her and Josh have talked about it, or she's considering it. I mean, it's just a guess. I mean, I don't think she wants to because she wants that support network for herself, and it can't be easy, taking care of 7 children all by yourself. So she's going to need help. So if she moves to Texas, they do have family in front, well, extended family, nieces and nephews of certain members of the Duggar crew, if you will, members of the church, and both, so nieces and nephews, and members of extended members of the church that are in the Dallas Fort Worth area, that could help her relocate there. But I mean, still, it's a guess. Let's see. Oh, the I don't like that. There are people who have speculated on the living conditions of Josh Duggar. They want him to be living in squalor while he's in the federal prison there, but it's not so. Nor does he live in a dormitory style housing. He is in a one individual cell. It's one person to a cell. Um, and it's got like a table, a chair that's actually fixed to the concrete cinder blocks. And it's got a toilet and a sink, which is all one unit. The actual sink is where the back of the toilet is, and it's stainless steel. Uh, and then there's a bunk with a thin mattress, and then he has his own personal belongings. And there's like a little cubby thing underneath where you can slide a bin with your personal belongings in and out. That you get assigned that actual plastic bin, and you can put a lock on it to protect your stuff. So when you're not there, but that's what kind of housing he's in. He's not in a dormitory where it's an open, like 50, 70 guys in a dormitory. They don't have dormitories there. They do have overflow, and it'd be kind of like a dormitory. They use the gymnasium cafeteria. It's a dual use environment place. So it's like a cafeteria. Most, like we're at Chow Hall. And not cafeteria is like a bad example, but it's a chow hall, but it's also used as a indoor like gymnasium. And they don't have free weights, but they do have like workout bars. They have some equipment that can be used inside, when it's incremental weather outside. But otherwise, most of them just sit and shoot hoops. and walk, pace a lot of walking. So that pretty much answers about the questions about Anna and Josh. Mike, there's something that you don't understand when it comes to something like Josh and Anna. It's just like a prisoner of war. They do all they can to brainwash you, and that's basically what Josh has done. Uh, um, Let me think about that for a second. You're close, Purple. You're close. Um, but in Anna's situation, Anna has grown up in an environment. Now, her family is from Florida, and they're in a conservative, a very strict conservative Christian church as well. That it very much aligns with the same church and the principles that Josh Duggar was raised in, and that their family is involved in. So you have these two individual groups. Anna has never known free will. It's not that she's a prisoner per se. It's that she has never experienced anything outside of the church. She's never been able to say, "This is what I want to wear. This is what I don't want to wear. This is what kind of music I want to listen to. This is what kind of music I don't want to listen to," because they control everything about the individual from birth through adulthood. That you don't you think you have free will, but you never know what the outside world has because you're never able to experience it. So it's kind of like being a prisoner within your own home in your own world, but you just don't know that there's another choice because what they see as an outside choice or people from the outside, they see them living lives of sin. And you don't want that choice. You don't want the temptation of the devil. And the temptation of the devil they see is creeping in and closing in around them and trying to put his little fingers into, his tentacles into your church. So the more that happens, the more people look in on a case like Josh Duggar, that focus point comes in on the entire church and the community. They just shrink down and they get closer and they cut off ties with those who are just on the outside. They stop going into town to buy clothing, to buy hardware, to buy anything because they don't want to be, tempted by that outer circle. People who have been close to them, who have, supported them in a way from the outside. They close ranks as things like this happen. And you can bet immediately the moment that Josh Duggar was arrested that every one of his siblings, Josh's siblings, Michelle, Jim Bob, and Michelle and all of her kids and any other kids that are that the other siblings may have, they went into kind of like a hyper Christianity, and they study the Old Testament a lot more than anything else. And they closed in and they would do extreme Bible study to protect themselves because they believe that the religion itself is going to protect them in their own little sphere. And that's what happens whenever anybody is taken outside of the circle. They start praying for that person. They start praying that that no one else comes in and is able to destroy what they have. In a lot of ways, if you think about it, it's kind of like a cult. Now, and if you're in a religion like this, I'm not telling you that your religion is bad, that your practices are bad. To each their own. I'm not in a position where I can ever judge somebody else and tell you what to believe in and what not to believe in. People believe what they want to believe. I mean, there are people who worship cows. There are people who worship cats. There are people who worship squirrels. I mean, I don't care what if you believe that the squirrel is a reincarnation of your God, so be it. I mean, is that wrong for me to say that it isn't? Of course it is, because I don't live, and I don't walk a mile in your shoes. So the Fundamentalist Baptist Church brainwashed Anna growing up to be subversive to men. Absolutely. But Anna doesn't know that. Again, they don't know what they don't. They know that there's certain music that they're not allowed to listen to, certain types of books they're not allowed to read, and certain types of education they're not allowed to seek. As just being female. Now, there are books and music and and stuff like that that no one within the church is allowed. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, but as a woman, you are not allowed to want to explore these different education options or listen to this type of music. Not allowed to wear this type of clothing or see this kind of movie or read this kind of book. There's a lot of that, but you don't know. You just know you don't want to read that, and it's kind of how it is. You got to think about it that from that aspect, from birth through their entire lives. So it might be when you think about brainwashing, it's somebody who had a choice and who knew one way, and then they've been convinced of another way. Anna's never had that option of the other way. Christina Burleson, good morning. I'm sorry, not good evening. I'm late to the party. Hi, everyone. Well, welcome, Christina. I just got done going through Josh Duggars' appeal and answering some questions about Anna and Josh. But I hope you've been doing well, Christina. Scroll up and see what else I missed. Para 710. Hello, 411. My name is Will. Para 710. Will. But it's nice to meet you. And welcome to this morning's chat. That's not assimilated. And it doesn't know anything else. So insular. Yeah. Rose-colored glasses environment. Absolutely true. Trusted you. The worst crimes against children, calling it an illness, is weak. Now, look at Josh Duggar's life. I mean, from the outside looking in on his life, we can all agree that child pornography and child exploitation is wrong. I'm going to go out there and say that we can all agree on that, right? But look at Josh Duggar's life growing up. Women have always been a lesser person than Josh because he's male. He's already raised to a certain level higher than his sisters. He is more important and valued more than his sisters. So even growing up as a child, he's watched his mother have to be less than his father. He's watched his other siblings, males, be more than their sisters. And he's watched this his entire life. When you're trying to develop your mind, as a pre-teen, young child, you see these things, you pick them up. And Josh has always been in that environment. Now you throw in the other people who have been around him who are sexual predators against children. It starts at the church with Bill Gothard, one of the co-founders of the church. There have been a lot of accusations and a lot of people who just kind of faded away in the background where people never heard from them again. You can draw your own conclusions on what happened there. But Bill Gothard, one of the original founders of the church, then it going down. Then Billy Bob, his dad, had a friend who was a sheriff's officer who is now doing more prison time for exploitation of children and child pornography. His dad's friend who came and talked to Josh and told him, don't do that to your sisters and anyone else again. After the molestation charges came out, they brought a sexual predator who was a cop to the home to tell Josh not to do it again. What? That's what happened. And it's like, of course it happened. And of course, this happened, kept on going with Josh. Hell, then there's, from outside in, and there's Caleb Williams. Then there are other people within the church who have had accusations of child, inappropriate contact or relationships with minors. Other people within the church. Of course, Josh turned out the way he is. The worst thing is, what I always go back to is, when did when did Discovery Channel, when did they know about Josh Duggar? And I'm willing to bet money that they knew about Josh Duggar and the things that he was into and accusations about him. They knew about it long before they ever got to the second season of 19 Kids and Counting, or 16 or 15 or whatever the hell the original number was. It's insane. Well, did Josh ever get charged with incest against his sisters? No. Nope. No, they purposely, the officer who came and investigated it purposely did not file the actual paperwork with the county until the statute of limitations was about to run out. And then once he turned in the paperwork, the statute of limitations had run out shortly thereafter. So there was no way that they could actually go back and file the charges against them. They protect their own. And what happens within the church and in the outer circle, again, like I was saying, they don't want the outside sources like the DEA, the state police, or anybody else looking in on them. And when it happens, they just close ranks, and they make their circle smaller. But no, he was never prosecuted for any of it. But they were able to introduce certain parts of it at his actual trial on this charge. It should have been an enhancement, but it would have been an enhancement only on the one charge that they ended up dropping against Josh. So again, let's just say he does get the appeal. They bring him into court, and he's granted a new court date. I mean, they're not going to let him go home. I mean, they'll have to have a bail hearing and everything else. But let's just say he does get a new day in court. Okay. If he does, and the federal government is going to say, we're now going to introduce both charges against you again. And we're going to start from there. And then what you did to your sisters, the babysitter, and the family friend, is an enhancement on this one charge that we dropped against you. So let's go. Roll the dice, Josh. Why would you mess with this? I mean, he can be out in 10 years or so. He could be out of prison. He's going to have what they call extended release, which is, it's parole, but they don't call it parole in the federal system. They call it, extended release. But it's the same people who were in parole officers. It's the same restrictions, the same offices, and the same people. They just call it extended release, not parole. Excuse me. There should be no statute of limitations. I agree with that, Amy. There should be no statute of limitations. The Oprah Winfrey Show brought Josh's sex crimes out to the public. You'd be surprised how much people have made off of this Josh Duggar, situation. It's insane, and it's sick. It's just like any other, major case that's ever happened out there. The Christopher Watts case. So look, people are still searching for it, and still looking for the information. Now, on YouTube, since I brought that up, I'm going to open up. You guys probably won't be able to see us unless I move the camera around. But I'm going to open up my channel. All right. And underneath the tab Analytics. All right. I go to Analytics, then I go to Research. Now, underneath the Research tab, it shows I can search keywords, but I can also see in a ranking format what my viewers are actually searching for. I click on your viewers searches. Okay. I hope that you guys can actually see this. I know it's kind of So right here, here's the cursor right here. You guys are searching for Dylan Round, Quentin Simons, Leilani, his mom, Scorpio, Love October. Look, Shannon Watts videos is still ranking. Go to second page, search up Shannon Watts. Shannon Watts. My viewers are still searching for it to this day. These are people who are subscribed, and watch my content are still searching for Shannon Watts to this day, because some people keep on bringing it up, and dredging up the past, and well, still making it very hard for the roost checks to be able to put closure to all this and move on. Rocky Road Lady, you made it. Woohoo, I made it. Well, I don't know about that, Gene. I haven't seen any evidence of her involvement in the case, but maybe she did. Maybe she's just a lot better at hiding things than everybody else out there, the FBI, state police, the Frederick Police Department, investigative journalists. Maybe she was able to hide it better from those who deal, in factual information and want to prosecute her. If the DA had a reason, and they had evidence to prosecute her, they would have done it. There's no reason to not prosecute her. I mean, she's nobody. She's always going to be a nobody. But if you truly believe it, I'm not going to tell you not to believe it. You have to make up your own mind. But I hope that you will use factual evidence to actually back up your beliefs. But I don't hold it against you. Go back to your question, purple. I got to scroll up. Could this ever snowball into taking the elders of the church down? Well, no, not per se, unless they can prove that there was, a crime committed there. And if they did remove the elders from the church, purple, let's say they did remove them because they found that, maybe the church elders themselves were running a child sex cult or something, whatever it might be, right? If they were to remove them from the elders from the church, they would, the members of the church would just install somebody else, in their positions to take over the church. Now, these extreme, I call them extreme because there are people who are in the Christian fundamentalist movement that are not wackanuts like these groups. All right. And I call them, that's how I normally prefer to them. And if I could show you my notes, I actually write down wackanuts at the top of the page and then I underline it when I'm talking about these people. If they removed the elders, they would install new ones immediately, and it wouldn't bring down the church itself. But these are individual pockets. It's not the entire movement. Christian fundamentalism. It's not the, say, think of it this way: it's the hard candy coating on an M&M. That's these people, and the inside, the milky smooth chocolate is the actual movement itself. But these people are the hard nut on the candy coating, and they're protecting what's on the inside. They really believe, a lot of them do. There are individual groups out there, not necessarily the Duggars group, but there are ones that believe in the coming of Christ is coming, just like Lori and Chad. They believe that they have been given information that shows that the apocalypse is coming. These groups believe that the apocalypse is coming, and they have to be ready and they prepare, weekly, monthly yearly for the coming of Christ, and the apocalypse that is coming. But that's their individual belief. That's not the belief of the entire movement of Christian fundamentalists. There are others out there who just like, hey man, we really believe in in our religion. We believe in this is our savior, and this is what you should do. But we're not going to burn you alive at the stake like this group will if you don't believe this. So I'm probably not doing a really good job of explaining it, but that's why I look at a lot of stuff as in a reference of candy. But I don't eat candy. Look what's going on in the Church of Scientology. Well, Gene, first off, the Church of Scientology technically doesn't even really qualify as a church. That's the first thing that people should start with when you think about the Church of Scientology. It does not qualify as a recognized religion underneath their actual practices itself. And then we start off with, what is the Church of Scientology? The Church of Scientology is a religion by a man who was trying to self-diagnose himself. He was trying to fix his mental health issues. Danny Matheson. So there's been a lot of different people. And Danny Matheson is just the newest one with crimes against women. But yes, Danny Matheson is one sick puppy, and the church is going to try to protect him as much as they can. But I would never follow a religion that was invented by a science fiction writer. I mean, why don't we have a church of, I don't know, pick another science fiction writer, anyone you want. I'm going to shut up there. I'll probably piss people off. I can see it now. I'm going to get done with this stream and there are going to be like 5 subscribers left. Good morning, Broken Justice. The IBLP is very extreme. Yeah. Jim Bob calls himself a prophet. I'm not surprised by that at all. The Scientology is a cult. And when the first Hollywood insiders joined, you have to look at which ones actually joined first in the earlier years. They joined because their careers were on a slide, and they were looking to network with other people who were famous to try to maybe kind of ski slope their careers back to prominence. And for some reason now it's just a giant draw. There's a lot of religions like that, though. I don't mean to pick on anyone's religion. If you believe in it, believe in it. Okay. 1 second. Boom. I'm still here. Smoke them if you got them, ladies and gentlemen. Smoke them if you got them. Glass half Anna. Oh, Glass Happy Anna 115. Good morning, Glass Happy Anna. I should probably put my glasses on. All right. Y'all get to help me here. I got new glasses. Tell me if you like these. I don't have my other ones with me. They're in the house. I got these the other day. Now I got 2 pair. This is just 1 pair. Tell me, what do you think of these glasses? We'll get closer to them. Do you like them? I mean, they're a little bit wider than my other ones. What I don't also like, I don't like the sorry, I don't like that they're glossy finish as opposed to the matte. But what do you think of the style? They're a little bit different from my other ones. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to speak directly into the microphone, blow your guys' ears out if you're listening on with headphones on. Nice. Well, thank you. Yeah, Truffles, L. Ron Hubbard. But he was trying to self-diagnose his own mental health issues when he came up with the Dianetics and all of it. You look great. Oh, thank you, Game Nona. You look great. Thank you, Cheryl. I burnt his book. I don't know if I'd burn books. That's a slippery slope. Fahrenheit 451. The Catholic Church is not exempt from sexual accusations, cover-ups, and very powerful Vatican for years and years. Gene, you're absolutely correct. The Catholic Church has done an awful lot of harm, but they have done an awful lot of good. Now, is there good within the groups, in the religion, Scientology, the Christian fundamentalist movement? I'm sure there is. I'd be willing to bet that there is, and it's great for those who are in it. It's really bad of me from the outside to critique their religions, their beliefs, and I'm truly sorry for that. But I know, and you are absolutely correct when it comes to the Catholic Church, the the Mormon Church. I mean, just about every church you can pinpoint things and scandals that have happened in every one of them. None of them are exempt. Hell, my deacon is in federal prison right now for child molestation. My deacon, the man who married me and my wife. We got married, in a local Catholic church here, but no, right, Carton. Good morning. It is Saturday morning. I hope you're doing well this morning, Rycart. KS, thumbs up. Truffles, thumbs up. You better come by Halloween. Monday, Halloween, I have a premiere. We're watching a movie together. We are watching The Last Man Alive. That is Halloween, Monday, the 31st. I fought for a little over a year and a half with YouTube and some idiot who is, well, probably some dork sitting in his basement over, owning the copyrights to that movie. And I'm the only one who gets to actually view it, and you get to view, I get to actually air it. And then after I air it, I have to take it down. I get so many days afterwards of replay. Gotta run, pink camo. I'm sorry if I didn't say hello this morning. I missed you. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you for being here this morning. You take care. Glowworm, good morning. How are you doing, Glowworm? Hope you've been doing well. The LDS Church of Latter-day Saints sent a letter to the church members not to talk to law enforcement about the Daybell case. Instead, talk to their lawyer first. Yeah, I know the LDS Church doesn't want to be involved in it, but if you look at the actual people who are in the prosecution side, they're investigators, the judge, and the connections there. The LDS church is in the whole is mixed up in the entire thing. They're all around. I'm not saying that I'm not exactly sure which ones are practicing LDS members, but I know that when it comes to Judge Boyce, his wife was an LDS member. I don't know if she still is, but she definitely was. And she actually attended. I found her name on one of the rolls for the Brigham Young University, Idaho campus. So at least she went to school there on top of it. But I don't know if she's still involved in the church or not. But there's connections to several of the prosecutors. Mr. Woods is actual the investigators, people who work for him investigating and are going through the actual files. Um, they're not necessarily clerks with the court, but they're individuals that's all they do is investigation, background checks, setting up interviews, and so on, kind of like what a clerk would do. But they're definitely connected to the LDS Church. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying that there's definitely a lot of them mixed up in it. I woke up thinking it was Sunday today, and I don't understand why. I usually don't drive on Sundays, but some weird reason I kept thinking it's Sunday. I'm going to begin by driving in 15 minutes. Beginning my drive in 15 minutes. Where are you at, Reichardt? Are you back east someplace? It's a crying shame. I every time I see it, I always want to say shame, but it's a crying shame. Good morning, and welcome to this morning's chat. I hope you had a wonderful week. I'm glad you could be here with us. Arrest, not rest. There are good people and bad people in every group, or circle you can look at. All good here, Will. What's the topic this morning? And how are you? I'm doing great, Glowworm. So earlier, and you can watch it and rewind if you want, Glowworm. I went through the appeal of Josh Duggar, and then I answered some questions about Anna, if her and her kids are visiting him, what the rules are around the visitation. Is he using electronic devices, and stuff like that. And then then it kind of went from there to we talked about religion, different groups and scandals, and here we are now. I'm in California, I-40, just before Needles, California, or Arizona. All right. Well, you stay safe out there, right, Cart? You definitely stay safe. So many people out there they're idiots. I see a lot of videos on people who, with their road rage, brake checking, semis. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen people do. Well, I've seen a lot of dumb things on the road over my lifetime, but that's dumb. I'm concerned Judge Boyce is influenced by the Mormon Church in his status in the church he worships at. Gene, when it comes to Judge Boyce, I'm worried more about some of the decisions that he's made and some of the rulings that he's handed down in the case, which has been very few. But the sealing documents, holding closed door meetings, not or whatever they want to call them, closed door sessions, A lot of these things are going to open up the grounds for an appeal later on, if and when they are convicted of these crimes. That's what I'm worried about. I don't necessarily know if it's his connection with the church that has influenced him. I just think he didn't understand what he was doing. And the one thing that really, and hell, Scott Reich over in Crime Talk, he's talked about it. A lot of other people, YouTube creators and bloggers, whatever you want to call them, have also touched on is decisions that he has made that are borderline just ridiculous. And the one example that I can give of that is when Lori Vallow, and all right, Vallow, Daybell, Cox, Ryan, whatever you want to, you want to call her, when her attorneys filed the motion that they wanted no cameras, no still photography, and no audio recordings in the actual case itself or any hearing going forward, when they filed that, and Judge Boyce said, yes, we're not going to have any video, no still photography, audio recording we'll have. But when he made that decision, he took away the rights of her co-defendant, Chad, immediately when he made that decision. You can't have a joint case where the two cases are joined and then have one you can't have still photography and video of, and you can't have, and the other one not. They're going to be sitting right next to each other at the table. What they need to do is separate the two cases completely. I know that Mr. Wood does not want to do two cases, try the same case basically twice, but if he doesn't, the likelihood of an appeal is going to be much greater because they won't be able to use certain defenses, an argumentative defense to blame the other one, point the finger at, no, it was all her. No, it was all him. They won't be able to use that defense if they're sitting right next to each other at the same table. So that's going to be a reason for an appeal later on. So he doesn't want to try it twice, but he should look at it this way. If you don't do it, separate it into two separate cases, instead of having it done at once, you're going to do it a second time once it goes up for an appeal. So you would think that Mr. Wood would say, well, let's do two cases now, two separate cases, bring the witnesses in twice, do it all twice, but as long as they're close in, timeline, like maybe one case here and then one case here, back to back. So you're not flying witnesses in, putting them up in hotels. Yeah, the expenses are definitely going to be there. The county's got to find that money. They're going to get reimbursed so much of it from the state. But yeah, that decision stands out, and sealing and closing off the courtroom. I just don't see how that's going to work. Excuse me. Will, what are your thoughts on pedophiles and the punishment given to them for their crimes? Do you think they can be rehabilitated, released to the public? No. If someone has been convicted of a crime, in that is, as you point out, pedophilia, I believe that there is no rehabilitation. Now, psychology textbooks that I have over here, will tell you that there has never been a single pedophile that has ever been rehabilitated to the point of never having those thoughts again, or whatever. The only thing you can do to someone who thinks that way and acts that way and commits on those actions of pedophilia, is to get them to realize what they're doing is actually harmful to the victim, where a large majority of them do not think of the victim itself and that they are actually harming anyone. They see it from a perspective of love, but then there are those who within it who want to harm. They don't want the love, the emotional bonding. They want only to destroy and harm the child. Maybe they're acting out on something that happened to them earlier in their lives when they were a child, because a lot of victims of sexual abuse will then go out later on, maybe not necessarily know it consciously, but subconsciously they'll act upon those, trying to, this happened to me. I want to harm this. I'm going to harm this child. I'm going to do, maybe not harm, but I'm going to do what happened to me. They a lot act out on these things that happened to them earlier in their lives. And but no, what do I think the punishment should be? Indefinite incarceration, if at the very least. Um, do it. Here in Washington State, where I live, we have an island off of the coast of Washington where we put all the child predators, pedophilia, those who have been convicted of pedophilia, and we put them there. And you have a sentence. Okay, you got 15 years. Here's your 15-year sentence. But in order for you to be released, an entire panel of psychotherapists and therapists must agree that you are no longer a harm. Otherwise, we will keep you there for an indefinite period of time. That's how we treat them here in this state. I think we should do that in every state. Put them someplace where they have to be able to prove that they're not going to harm someone again, because one victim is too many victims. That's my thoughts. Should be death penalty qualified, like the defense attorneys are required. John Pryor needs another attorney to help him. John Pryor definitely needs another attorney, but she ain't got the money. Yeah, neither does Chad. Neither one of them have the money, so they're going to have to. Chad's going to have to go to a court appointed attorney. And just like Lori is going to have to, because neither one of them have the money. Where did you hear Lori was in court this past week? They had a hearing. I don't know if Lori herself was there. She may have been, but they had a hearing about they're starting the process where they're questioning her mental health, and if she's going to be able to effectively aid in her own defense. Good morning, Tina. There are certain crimes that people commit out there that I just don't think there's any type or any type of rehabilitation or any hope for. They people just need to be locked up and removed from society. You've already proven that you're guilty of, if you've been found guilty of it. But then again, a lot of people say like, oh, those who have been convicted of pedophilia, we should just hang them in the public square immediately. Don't let them have the appeals process and all this other shit. But that's not the Constitution. We can lock them up indefinitely if we believe that they are a harm to society. We don't have to let them back into society to have more victims. There's a trailer court. I watched a documentary about it in Florida, where the entire trailer court is nothing but sexual predators. I can't remember what the name of it is though, but it's on YouTube. It wouldn't hurt your feelings if Judge Boyce stepped down. I think Judge Boyce is qualified. And to the point of does the judge need to be death penalty qualified like the defense? and the prosecution. Uh, the judge doesn't have to get qualified per se in the state of Idaho to be a death penalty, to sit on a death penalty case. He just has to know the law and rule within the actual law and the parameters within that. I would, if I was to give Judge Boyce a grade on, like an A, B, C, D, or an F, I would say that he's about a C, maybe a C plus average right now. If I had to give him a grade, I think for the majority of this case, he's done a great job. There's just some things that's like, what the hell is he even thinking here? And a lot of people are like, why is this case just dragging out? When are we going to move forward? He still has not set a firm date. You can't file any motions after this date. He hasn't done that. And just about every case out there that I've ever watched, a murder case where there's multiple victims, they set a date and they say, okay, you can't file any motions after this date, questioning this or questioning that. You have to file your motion. You have until this date. He hasn't even done that yet. So how we could be looking at another year worth of motions down the road if he doesn't set that date. Chad Daybell case has been vacated. Yeah, indefinitely. Lori's case has been vacated indefinitely. But I don't know. And when are we ever going to get justice for JJ, Tylee, Tammy, Charles, and Joseph? They may not have pulled the trigger and killed Joseph, or poisoned Joseph like they did to Tammy, but they killed Joseph. They killed him from the inside out, taking away the one and only thing in this world that mattered the most to him, and that was his daughter. That's all he ever wanted. But they killed him all the same. I look at it as Joseph died of a broken heart. They may not have, plunged a knife into his chest. They may not have shot him. They may not have poisoned him, but they killed Joseph just the same. When are we going to get justice for all of them? Louise, good morning. Hello from Michigan. Welcome to this morning's news and chat. We've been covering just a little bit of everything this morning. First started off with Josh Duggars' appeal. Then I went through and I answered questions that viewers had that they asked me about Anna Duggar. Then we kind of like veered off into religion for a little bit. And now we're the Lori Vallow, kind of free flowing. Oh, thank you, Louise. I appreciate it. Did anyone check? Well, thank you, Gene. I mean, everybody, has an input. I appreciate your input too, and and your questions. It makes me think. In fact, after I'm done, I always jot down, a series of notes. I've got one right here. These little notepads. It's like I always write down little notes in them. After I do a stream, I write down things like, oh, I'm gonna look into that a little bit more. This one's all filled up. It's all about Leilani Simon. But I have a whole box of them over there on the shelf. Judge Boyce said the trial could happen in 2024, depending on the court's availability. Maybe. We'll rewatch the video. All right, Louise. Boyce is following the law to the letter. If you don't believe that, look up the Idaho rules on sealing motions. Oh, sorry. Bumped the microphone with my hand. If they send Lori back to Blackfoot Mental Hospital, state hospital, they don't call it a mental hospital, but it is a mental hospital. If they send her back there, to the same place again, which they most likely will, for her an ongoing evaluation. What if she's going to pick right up where she was before when she was there, hang out with the same people? The nuns of the Catholic Church sexually abuse children too. It's not just men. I didn't know about that. Well, I mean, I'm not denying that it didn't happen. I went to Catholic school. Um, see, first grade, second grade, and third grade. I went to Catholic school, but then we moved. And we used to have this Mother Mary. She was just the cruelest person I've ever one of the cruelest people I should say I've ever met in my life. She used to scare the living snot out of I was just a little kid, and it'd scare the hell out of you if you saw her walking towards you. You swear her eyes could burn a hole through your soul. It was just like, oh my God, she's coming. What did we do this time? What did I do? She's gonna get me. That was in Wisconsin, which is kind of funny because the same school that, not really funny, but a quinky dink is. Thank you again, Gone Girl. I appreciate it. Hope your weekend is going great. I hope yours is as well. Are you out of the hospital, sweetheart? Are you back home, getting better? Louise, you went to Catholic school, first through eighth grade? Yeah, it was. But when we moved out here, I was going to say, so I went through first through third grade, and then when we moved here, they didn't have a Catholic school. Well, they have a Catholic school. It's in one town over, but it was the same. The name of the same. It was Saint Joseph's Catholic School, the one that I went to in Wisconsin, and then when we moved out here, they had a Saint Joseph's Catholic School, but it's one town over, and it was too much for my family to actually transport us over for school and then pick us up. They didn't have a bus system that would have taken us because we were out of district for the Catholic school. So we never went there. We went to public school, and then we went to the public school we went to for fourth grade, and then in the middle of fourth grade, the public school closed. They're like, "Oh, we're closing. Y'all have to go to another public school, about a half a mile away." And we're like, "What?" So then we start over. But that's kind of a unique thing to the area where I live now. But large sections of the population, 20, 30,000 people, will up and move, at all in one group, because this town was founded by the federal government for um, the Manhattan Project, and contractors come in, they bring employees for their contract, or they hire people from the local area to fill their contract, and then after the contract's done, there's no job. The job just goes away. It's not the same as it was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now in the 2000s, they've diversified the employment around here a lot more. It's a lot more scientific. They have it's not the Hadron Collider, but we have a version of that here, and we have a lot more scientific research that goes on here. But there's still those contractors that, well, once the job is done, you'll see 10,000 people pick up and move it as opposed to 30,000. But anyways, so I was going to the school, and the 30,000 people picked up and moved from the city. Well, they had 5 elementary schools. They don't need 5 open at the same time. So they close one down, and everybody goes. They disperse them out to the other school. It's a unique area. I think he eats too much rich, wet food. My cat was ill, and I was so worried it wasn't sleeping. He got better, and I passed out. Love him so much. Oh, that's cool, Mike. My cat, I haven't seen him in the last couple of days, but that's not unusual for him. He's a fixed male. His name is Bogey, but normally he comes in here and he sleeps in the chair. Well, you can't see it. The microphone's in the way. That green chair right there. He usually sleeps in that chair, and he's got a water and food dish over there. He normally follows me everywhere, especially when I come out here. I gotta get a new chair. I hate this stupid chair. Either that, or I'm gonna start sitting in that one because the hydraulic in it is called, and it fails. Then I'm sitting almost in on the ground. Can't help but spoil them. I love my kitties. And then my daughter got a cat, and she named it Jelly Bean. But that cat, he's an indoor only. She is an indoor only cat, but she follows me everywhere inside the house. I go to bed, she jumps up on the bed. I go to the bathroom, she lays down outside the door and tries to swipe at me from underneath the door. But it's my daughter's cat, and she prefers to hanging out with me. it, Gone Girl is an awesome, awesome friend. My puppy isn't eating because I have been in the hospital for 2 months. Oh, you lost your cat, Louise? I'm sorry. You had a cat for 18 years? Oh, that's a long life for a cat. And I'm really sorry about your puppy, Gone Girl. Excuse me. So I give you a little background. We had at one point we had 4 dogs, German Shepherds, and one was a German Shepherd Rot mix. After they died, we said no more pets, no more pets. We're not getting any more pets. And then my wife brought in. We had this Siamese cat who just kept on showing up at our door over and over again. And even if there wasn't any food, it just came to the door and it kept on scratching at the glass on the door. And finally, my wife let it into the house, and not knowing where the cat went, we couldn't find the cat in the house. So we figured it'll come out when it's hungry. The cat came in and had a litter of kittens. Yes, a litter of kittens. So we ended up with not only a cat that's not ours, but we ended up with 4 kittens that are not ours. Now they are. So now we got 5. So we adopted 4 of the 5, 4 of the 5 out, and we kept the mama cat is still here, and that's where Jelly Bean came from. So we have the 2 of the 5. Now I already had my cat because I rescued him. A friend of ours lives in the same town, but she lives on the other side of the town. It was a kitten, and it got chased up this tree by, I don't know, whatever reason the kitten climbed the tree. But nobody within like a mile radius had ever seen this kitten before or had any kittens. So they don't know where this kitten came from. So I adopted him, because that's who I am. I'm a big pushover for animals. So now we have 3 cats: Bogey, Jelly Bean, and Darla. Well, we go to get Darla fixed, and we find out, because they won't fix her right away because she's got to nurse the kittens. So during that process, while she's nursing the kittens, before we adopted them all out, except for Jelly Bean, she got pregnant again. So she had a second litter. But that litter, when she was pregnant with, one of the kittens died while she was giving birth to it. So she stopped the birth process. So that cost us $3,000 to have an emergency surgery on Darla, the mom, to finish the process of her giving birth to all the kittens. So, and those all have homes now. But so we have Bogey, Darla, Jelly Bean. Those are our 3 cats. Yeah, we're probably going to keep or get another one. I keep on saying no more pets, and as soon as I say that, that means that we're going to end up getting more pets. But this is Lucky. That's my dog. Will, I love when you take us on the road trips. I miss golfing. So do I. I wish I could go golfing. I haven't been golfing in a while. I want to go. I want to go golfing, but one of my normal golf partners just had a complete knee replacement surgery, so she's down and out until probably February of next year, because just the way it goes, you have to rehabilitate after having a complete knee replacement. My other friend, who we normally go with, he moved to Savannah, Georgia. Yeah, he's down there where the nuclear site is. He works for the Department of Energy. He doesn't actually. He oversees other contractors and stuff like that, and make sure that they're following the rules. And then my friend Tim doesn't get to come into town but once every 2 weeks. So I haven't been golfing. I want to go, but otherwise I can just have to go by myself. But I've been so busy. You too, Jane. I'm going to be wrapping this up here in just a minute. Stop saying no more, right, Louise? But I don't know. We did not. It's not just me. It's my entire family. My wife, my daughter. We volunteer with the Humane Society and another nonprofit called POP, Pet for Overpopulation. We help. We volunteer there, either walking dogs or taking care of cats. We have time to give back, and we give back. Unfortunately, our hearts are a little bit bigger than they should, and so we're going to end up getting more. We'll end up, even after these cats have lived their entire life, and hopefully they live long lives, we'll probably end up getting more along the way. It's just why we do it. Why am I wrapping up, Reichardt? Because I have things I have to get done today. I have to get going. Unfortunately, that's the life that we all live. We all have things we don't do. You may not drive on Sundays, but there's things you have to do on Sundays. Maybe you have to, tidy up the truck, fill it up, or whatever you need to do. You have things you have to do on Sundays. I mean, I hope it's just, sit back and relax. That'd be cool. We have a little puppy for you. He weighs 6 pounds. Oh, it's going to be 69 degrees here today in Michigan. It's going to be 53 here today. It's 48 right now, but they're calling for a high of 53. Overcast clouds. I'm reading it's right there on my screen, and a 10% chance of rain. Have an awesome weekend and new week coming up. You too. Now, before I go, I want to remind everybody, Monday, I'm doing a live stream. It's an actual premiere, so we get the chat thing here, and then we actually have the video that's going to be playing at the same time. It's a movie. It's The Last Man on Earth. It's one of Vincent Price, the horror genre actor. It's one of his early works, and it's listed as one of the top 5 movies that Vincent Price did that have been not appreciated as much. And this movie is also, if you like zombie movies, you might like it on that aspect. But this is the movie that George Romero, the director writer of um, Dawn of the Dead, he looked at this movie as an inspiration for his writing of Dawn of the Dead. So this is the one of the very first earliest zombie movies. And here's a way to kick it into to make it topical for today's society and what's going on in the world. In a nutshell, here is the how the this movie starts off. It's Vincent Price, his daughter, and his wife. They're just living their normal life and everything else. And a virus gets released from a laboratory and it spreads through the air, but they don't know how it spreads. And everybody who gets it dies, kind of like coronavirus, if you think about it. But he thinks he is the last man alive on Earth because everywhere he goes, there's no one around anywhere. But I won't give away the entire plot of the movie, but it spreads and it takes over just like coronavirus. But this is in the 1940s. So, all right, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I hope to see you Monday. Take care and stay safe out there.